This episode is quite different from the usual, where you hear a lot of advice about AI and what tools to use. In this episode, we talk about how some AI tools will fail you and will actually hurt your business. We talk about that, but contrary to that, we also talk about a lot of people using ChatGPT to look up lawyers. And I reveal a tool that we built, my R&D team built, that will allow you to look up how you appear to people or whether you appear in AI search results. It's a really cool tool. I will reveal it and give you access to that tool in this episode. As well as Brian, knowing a lot about traditional marketing, talks about the things that they do with traditional marketing to attract more and better cases in his law firm. Enjoy the episode, learn, and make sure that you implement those ideas that strike a chord with you.
Hi there. I have a small but really meaningful favor to ask you. I watch at the stats on our YouTube channel and Spotify channel, wherever most people listen and watch our podcast. And I see that over 80% of everybody who listens to it regularly is not a subscriber. I'm asking you to subscribe to this channel. And the reason for that is my mission and the mission of my team is to help as many small law firm owners to learn how to transform their law firms into better businesses, and so they in turn enjoy better lives. When you hit subscribe button, you tell these platforms that this is content worth listening, worth viewing, and they in turn will show it to many other small law firm owners and hopefully help me fulfill our mission of helping them create a better business and enjoy better lives. So would you please do me this favor? It would mean the world to me, and hit the subscribe button. And my promise to you is that I will continue to work hard at creating good content with practical ideas that help you and your teams grow better law firms. Thank you.
Welcome to Grow Law Podcast. I have a great repeat guest with me here today, Brian Glass of Ben Glass Law Firm. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sasha. You told me before we started recording that it's actually been 2 years since we talked, and I have a hard time believing that.
Time flies when you're having fun or not having fun. And by the way, in the last 2 years, things have changed quite dramatically, not just in the legal field, not in the field of marketing, but just in the world. 2 years ago, we didn't talk about AI. Like nobody mentioned AI. Yes, we kind of heard about it on periphery, but it wasn't the thing. But today it has changed things quite dramatically. And let me preface what I'm about to say with this. This is not going to be another boring episode talking about AI tools. It's not about that. We're only going to talk about business and how it's been impacted by AI and a few other things. And Brian, you're one of the leaders of a cohort of about 100 law firm owners. You're doing training or coaching with them on a regular basis. And I'm sure that they're telling you that their world has changed in the last couple of years. So share what you're hearing and what are the new unique challenges that have spruced up since about 2 years ago?
Well, I mean, do you remember when we first started talking ChatGPT and AI? ChatGPT was trained on a data set that was at least 6 months old, right? At least the first time I started using it, the data set was 6 months old. But it's almost real time now. You can query it and it can go out into the world, and certainly Grok and Perplexity, and there's other tools that can go out and find real-time stuff and come back to you. And so I think we've been saying for the last couple of years, we're up on the forefront of AI, right? And every new product that comes out, whether it's a voice product or an intake product or a medical chronology product, like they all seem to me to be not quite ready yet, but they're all getting closer. And we forget how quickly that exponential growth curve has progressed to get us to where we are. And I think looking down the road in the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, that we're going to be really impressed by what it can do. But it's causing all kinds of new problems for us, for law firm owners, right? Both on the client acquisition side, as we try to tailor our websites and our digital properties to show up in Google. The terms are you're the expert in the terms, but the Google generative responses, right? And more of the real estate at the top of the response page is taken up by summary responses and less by like a direct link to our law firm. That's a problem. And then the problem, I think, becomes for law firm owners, especially in the personal injury space, the overuse of it before it's ready, right? So if you went to a conference this year, you probably heard 50% of the programming and at least 50% of the sponsors were AI products, right? We can do the medical records. We can go and get the medical records. We can handle all your client communications. We can do your intake. We can tell you whether a case is through the use of AI, we could tell you whether a case is likely to produce a fee or not likely to produce a fee, right? And so it would be easy, Sasha, to sit around and go like, what are the lawyers going to do? And I think some firms have gotten a little over their skis getting rid of in-house staff and a US-based staff because they've relied heavily on AI. And I think that actually is going to be the opportunity for small law firm owners within the next couple of years, is occupying these spaces in the market where big firms have traded customer service for efficiency and becoming the local resource for your clients and your client base for like a good actual legal product that people want to interact with. Because I don't think that the general public, at least in Northern Virginia and certainly not in the middle of the country, is ready to talk to an AI agent about their legal case yet.
Yeah, it's probably not there yet. And there's a fascinating little case study that I read recently that goes to this point, and it is actually about Dyson, the brand that makes vacuum cleaners, hair dryers, and a few other products. They're really expensive. One of the reasons why they're so expensive is that once you buy that product, you become a loyalist. And the reason why you become a loyalist, a couple of decades ago, when Mr. Dyson was listening to another corporate report talking about how they're optimizing their customer service department, heard about optimization and automation and how many seconds their customer service reps are spending on the phone with customers and how they're trying to shrink that to decrease the cost of customer service. And he said, no, reverse that to the way it was before. Make sure that every phone call is answered by a human within 2 rings, and you give them as much time as possible and you validate their concern. And if it's a real concern, whatever they need, ship it to them for free. This is how they ended up becoming this behemoth of a company, because customer service was not just a bug of the product, it was a feature of the company, feature of the brand. So I think that in the world of automation, real human interactions are going to become more valuable. It will be harder to recognize what is human and what is AI, but we'll learn. Let me give you an example. Today, there are AI-produced podcasts. Not video, but audio. You listen to a podcast and you're like, why are there mimics, like auditory mimics, always the same? Like the laugh and and other things that they do, they're on repeat. And then you understand that these are not real people. This is somebody grabbing some content of the internet, saying, convert it into a podcast episode. And now it's just fake. And as soon as you understand that it's fake, you don't want to listen to it anymore because it's fake.
I haven't played with that in a long time. We took the notes from our Great Legal Marketing Summit in 2024 and we fed it all to Notebook LM and created a podcast. And it was wild to listen to the two hosts go back and forth, summarizing the event. But Sasha, I only listened to about 5 minutes of it, right? And so I suspect that if I were listening to it every week, like most people listen to your podcast or my podcast, you would get tired of and bored of, and you would recognize the fakeness to it. But
100%.
But as a 5-minute interaction, it's really, really impressive.
It's really impressive.
And that's what we see when we go and we see presentations at big conferences, is we see the 5-minute presentation. We don't see all the stuff that's behind the curtain. So I think that's a great point. As is like building, what can your differentiating factor be if you're Dyson and you're selling vacuums? Like pick up more stuff, right? Okay, maybe, but how do I know unless I'm actually running the comparison in my living room and I'm not buying 3 vacuums so that I'm running the comparison, right?
Yeah.
It's customer service. And law firms are the same way. How does a client ever, you can differentiate on, I'm going to get you a better result. I'm going to get you more money. I'm going to get it faster. But how does a client ever know? Because most of our clients are hiring one lawyer in the course of their lifetime, if, maybe 3, right?
3.
Maybe you have 3 personal injury cases in the course of your lifetime. And you have no idea. Enough. Yeah. I've got a couple repeat offenders, but you have no idea whether the guy down the street could have gotten you a larger result or helped you keep more money or done it 3 months earlier. But I think you always know like how you felt about that interaction with the firm, and you can compare that. You don't have to compare it against other law firms, right? I can compare it against my bank. I can compare it against a doctor's office. I can compare it against an insurance agent. We have all these other professional services interactions where we know, did somebody call me back on time? When they called me back, did they address the question that I thought was important? And when they did, like, and we talked about it the next time, did they actually remember it? So this is all opportunity for good customer service to be the thing that your clients remember you for. And AI can help with that, right? I mean, there's a lot of great AI built into legal management softwares now. And we're on Fileline, and we're beta testing their new chat with your case function. And I can go in before a client phone call and I can ask it to summarize the last 3 months of interactions that we've had with the client. And it'll give me a good summary, the dates, what happened, even what the tone of the conversation was. And I can use all that in my conversation with the client, but I'm not about to let an AI bot be the next one to have the conversation with the client.
Yeah. So this is definitely not an anti-AI podcast episode, but some of it you should be warned against. Here's another one that you should be warned against if you're considering this, if you're hearing some of the advice, is now AI can generate videos for you with your likeness. So if you want to be featured in Google when people are looking for an attorney like you in your geographical market, if you want to be featured in ChatGPT when people are looking for an attorney in your geographical market, don't do this. Let me explain why. There's this huge appeal. Like, look, I'm going to record one video. It's going to be 1 minute long or 2 minutes long. And then my marketing company, it's really technology, is going to record 1,000 videos on all topics that are relevant to what we do. And we're just going to blast them out there on YouTube and on social. And I will spend 1 minute recording that 1 minute long video. That's it. The appeal is enormous. Here's the problem. Here's how it's going to devastate your business if you care about findability of your law firm and you as an attorney on Google and on ChatGPT. Many years ago, roughly 7-8 years ago, Google came up with this abbreviation, EEAT, which stands for experience, expertise, authority, and trust. If you have experience, proven, expertise, proven, authority in the marketplace, proven, you will get trust. If you create 1,000 fake videos that are not you, that's going to kill trust, demolish your authority, prove that you have no expertise, because it's now AI, it's not you, and you will not be trusted ever again.
Well, and the other thing that a lot of these companies are pushing is we could take the video that you shot, and it could be actually be you shooting it, right? You could shoot the 1,000 videos yourself, and then we'll translate them into 17 different languages, which, by the way, nobody in your office speaks those 17 languages.
Doesn't matter.
So there's that. And, you know, I just think your time would go so much further if you took the time and actually shot the video, even if it's a one-to-one interaction and you're sending it back to a client. I mean, how much more with what's the company's like called BombBomb or something like that. I can shoot a quick video and send it back to you explaining, hey, we just talked, here's the retainer agreement. Let me recap the couple of important things we talked about. I think it's just a better client experience than getting the AI thing, certainly, or even getting nothing.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of things should be kept human, or you will devastate your revenue. Like this will devastate your revenue. If you care about findability on Google and on ChatGPT. Speaking of ChatGPT, for findability, we found that in Q3 of this year, 2025, we're recording this in November 2025, 27% of traffic to our clients' websites came through ChatGPT.
Wow.
Yeah, people would first search up lawyers on ChatGPT and then they would go to Google because Google has that authority and trust. So you're not going to like follow reviews on ChatGPT, but you will go to Google and you will look up that lawyer. And many times you will just go to sources that are published by ChatGPT and just click on the link and end up going to a law firm website. So it is definitely gaining more prominence. I wonder if you hear this from your coaching clients, that it is getting harder. It's actually getting harder to be found. And the reason for that, one of the reasons for that is that they will feature on page 1, 17 law firms. You're going to have your local service ads at the top, followed by regular pay-per-click ads, followed by local map pack, followed by 10 search results. It's like 17 opportunities to be featured there. With ChatGPT, it's 2, sometimes 3, but a maximum of 4. So it is definitely hard to be found. Do you hear that from your clients?
Well, I don't know that I've heard it from clients, but certainly anecdotally that's true, right? Like, so I just searched myself the other day, or searched our firm the other day, and there was nothing above the fold that was organic on Google. Everything was paid above the fold. And so that there's just less and less space there. The funny thing about ChatGPT is it's very hard to search, to perform this yourself, right? Because it's, quote, trained on you and it knows the way that you search. And so a while ago, I asked it, who's the best lawyer, or give me the list of the best lawyers, injury lawyers in Fairfax, Virginia. And of course, I was on the list. And so I asked it, am I on the list because you know who I am? And it told me yes. And so the results that you're getting back in your version, your personal version of ChatGPT, are tailored a little bit towards, you know, what it thinks that you want it to show you. And so I don't, do you have a tip for like how you would randomize that, or how you would make it like, it's almost like opening an incognito window in Google. How would somebody go about figuring out what ChatGPT would say to them, or what results would be generated if they were just a random user off the street?
So for those of you who are watching this podcast episode on YouTube or any other platform where it will be featured, I'm about to share my screen. For those of you who are listening to this, I hope you're not driving. If you are driving, you can look at this afterward. Let me see how to share my screen here, as I never do. Here it is. So my R&D team actually built this tool, released it a couple months ago. It's called AI Grader. Okay. You pop in the name of your law firm here. So this is it. I promise you, we have not rehearsed this. So there's Ben Glass Law, Accident, Injury, and Disability Lawyers in Fairfax, Virginia. It's going to find you, and it will take roughly, and because I'm sharing my screen, it will take a minute longer, but on average, it takes 1 minute and 38 seconds to show you how well you show up across ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and Perplexity. Like, it will show you for your local market, and then it will show you statewide. This is real time. You're absolutely right. ChatGPT will tailor results to specific users. This is randomized. This is not for specific user. It's just our system that searches and has done this search thousands of times across thousands of law firms across all 50 states. It has no preference for Brian Glass or Sasha Berson or anybody else. It will just use like a random user who is searching for the first time. So it's almost there for those of you who are patiently listening.
Yeah, this is cool. I'm excited to see what this shows on the other end.
ai.growlaw.co. That's it. Go there. If you're not driving, I don't want you going there. But when you're not driving, just go to ai.growlaw.co and you're going to see search results across 3 AI platforms that are ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and Perplexity. It's really cool. It's running it now for 1 minute and 21 seconds, and it's just about done. I think that, there it is. Sorry about that. So your AI visibility score is poor. But not the worst that I've seen by a long shot. But look at that. For those of you who are watching this on YouTube or social media, this got to be great if you're seeing this for the first time. Your Gemini is great. It's a Google product. And because it is Google product, I assume that your website is well optimized for search on Google.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It is really not optimized for search on ChatGPT. Something is missing there. And Perplexity is okay. So you got 30 for ChatGPT, but the aggregate score is 33 because we know that most people will use ChatGPT to look up law firms. ChatGPT is like 87% of all search. Yep.
What's really interesting to me about this competitive set is that I don't consider most of these firms to be competitors. Like there's 2 medical malpractice firms on there. We don't do any med mal. There's a defense firm on there. It's just interesting, like to see what comes back on the AI visibility score for PI. Yeah. Like there's a general practice firm there. That's really interesting stuff.
And you'll see different results for the entire state.
Right. And it's funny because I perform better you just clicked over to the Virginia tab.
Yeah.
I perform better across the state than I do on my own local market. Huh.
And when you scroll down, you're going to see which keywords will pop up in ChatGPT in Fairfax, the city, and in Virginia, the state. Right here. It's a really elegant solution. It does not do a very deep dive. It just gives you whatever it sees in real time. That's it. And the way that it does it, it goes from here to ChatGPT and pulls results from ChatGPT, and to Perplexity and pulls results from Perplexity, and to Gemini and pulls results from Gemini, like real time. Yeah. And it takes on average about a minute, 38 seconds.
Yeah.
So cool solution. If you don't have access to this and you're just trying to do it on your own, or you are doing it on your own by just asking ChatGPT, then it will probably give you opinion. If it knows who you are and it expects you to prefer yourself over others, it will probably tell you that recommend you over others, but not necessarily. There are still some foundational things that have to be in place. And I can reveal that we know full well that there are 3 primary factors that ChatGPT uses to determine whether your law firm will be featured in their search results or not. And interestingly, it's the general SEO, it's the local SEO, and it's your directory listings. If you have those 3 things well optimized, there's a high probability that you will be featured in ChatGPT search results. If one of those 3 things is not optimized, but your competitors have all 3 things optimized, it will not. In addition to that, you have to have content that was actually written for long tail queries. So back in the day when we didn't have ChatGPT in common use, like 30 months ago, give or take, people would type in very short queries, just a couple of keywords in Google to find what they were looking for. But today, in the world of voice search, like I do voice search, I very rarely type something, very rarely. So with voice search, you're not going to be like, injury lawyer near me. You'll say something, hey, I'm looking for best personal injury lawyer. I had this type of accident. Help me find whoever's good and doesn't charge a ton of money. And we'll be like, well, Sasha, in Fort Lauderdale, where I reside now, here are 2 remarkable attorneys. And by the way, here's why I pulled up these 2. And it will tell you, like, based on reviews and what their website says, blah, 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 blah. So interestingly, for foundationally, SEO and GEO are very similar, but then there are some differences. And because of those differences, you can do very well in Google and not so well in ChatGPT. But Google's Gemini will feature you, like you saw in your report. It will feature you because you've done so well on Google. So you probably need some significant tweaks, but not like an overhaul to get featured in ChatGPT. And again, it's becoming more important because based on our data set shows 27%. And I wish it wasn't so, but it is so. 27% of search traffic comes to law firm websites through ChatGPT.
That's a fascinating number. I'm trying to think of like, okay, now how do you counsel people with what they should be doing with this information, right? We have found that all of our largest cases come from referrals from people who already know, like, and trust us. And I think this is true for most personal injury firms. Last year, something like 60% of our cases were from referrals. Something like 80% of our money was from referrals. And maybe it's because we aren't spending a whole bunch of money acquiring cases by LSA, PPC, lead gen, whatever. Maybe it's because we built a pretty good referral network and we're still doing all of the offline digital stuff, offline analog stuff, which I think is the opportunity for most small firms to gain market share in the age where everybody is trying to, fall over themselves, like spend more and more and more money and increase the cost to acquire a client across the board and figure out, like, is ChatGPT going to be effectively free? $20 a month is basically free forever. Or is there going to be some paid search function
100%
where you,
coming
just
your
like
way.
Google, where you can start, bidding on terms in there? And so for law firm owners, like, trying to figure out what do we do with our next dollar and our next hour that we have that's going to be devoted to marketing, by the way, and we're still working on client files and personnel management and all the other things that go into owning a law firm. I think if you don't have somebody like you who you trust to be handling your digital assets, it's like, why even go and be playing in this space? Why even be trying to figure? It feels good. You go to a conference and you hear, like, here's the changes that you can make to optimize and get and move yourself up the ChatGPT rankings. You can make some of those quick changes and move up a little bit. But I think for most small law firm owners, like trying to figure this out, especially trying to figure it out on your own without a trusted agency, is a complete waste of your time.
Complete waste. In fact, search marketing has become so much more complex in just the last few years, let alone the last 10, 15, 20 years. It is a field of study that requires technicians for different aspects of it. Like every client of ours gets a team of 8 specialists who are working on different things. We do not have one specialist who can handle it all because it's impossible. They're just different skill sets. Completely different skill sets. It's not like, and I'm not simplifying what attorneys do. I don't know exactly what attorneys do, but I think that attorney can do a job of a paralegal and vice versa to an extent. Like a very experienced paralegal can probably do, if it's not a trial case, can probably do a significant percentage of the case. With search marketing, like we have one specialist who has his skill set and he doesn't know how to do what the other specialist does.
Got it. Yep.
Completely different skill sets, working on the same client's account, working toward common goal, don't know how to do each other's jobs. Good specialized skill set. It's just incredibly complex. And before we hit the record button, we talked about how you coach your clients and you tell them that if you have $2,500 to allocate to over SEO, save the money.
Yeah, just spend it somewhere else.
Spend it or keep it.
Because the person that comes to me and says, I've got $2,500 and I'm paying somebody to do SEO, right? You ask them, what does it mean to do SEO? And they go, I don't know.
What are you getting for that money?
I think they're building some links. Like, but okay, maybe there's probably a more cost-effective way to do that, or don't do it at all, right? I don't know. I mean, we didn't spend money in that space for a long, long time. We did it in-house. We had, I worked for Tom Foster and Foster Web Marketing way back when I was in law school. So that little bit of knowledge on how to write an article and how to do keyword and H1 tag, like that carried me for a long way, for a long time. But it is, now I hear terms, schema markup and all this. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So yeah, it has gotten way more complex to do a good job in search than it used to be even 5 years ago.
Yeah. I want to circle back to the point that we just talked about for a second about spending $2,500 a month on SEO or not spending the $2,500 a month. We at my company will always tell prospective client if they come to us and they have a smaller budget for SEO to keep the money. Just keep it. Don't give it to us. Don't give it to our competitors for the reason that you will be going against law firms that are spending substantially more than that, and you will not win. It is a zero-sum game. Either get more money and invest more money into it, knowing that things like SEO and GEO will take time. Many of our clients, when they come to prospective clients, when they come to us, we tell them this will take 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters. We don't talk months. We talk quarters. And these are the ones that may be coming with like decent positioning already. But if they want it to be really good positioning, well, it will take quarters. It's a long-term investment. I always think about all projects. I grade them on fast, easy, profitable scale. So when you think about SEO, it's not fast. It's not easy. It will be immensely profitable if you do it right. And when I say you do it right, you have a really strong team, preferably one of the best teams in the game, because it's a team sport. Better teams win. It's like when you think about professional sports, like who would you bet money on? You would bet on better franchises that have proven that they're really good franchises and they can deliver, right? It's the same thing with SEO and GEO, which is basically optimizing your web presence, not just your website, but your web presence to be featured in ChatGPT and such. And we tell them just, if you have too little, and when they say too little, like $2,500, $3,500 in many markets, $4,500 in some markets, like if you have less than $7,000, $8,000 to invest into SEO, like New York City, don't do it. Miami, don't do it. It's just, it's getting harder to be found. I think that's a general theme. And part of the problem is AI, including Google. Like their generative responses are taking up so much of the space that it is harder to be found. So we will turn away any prospective client who we feel doesn't have an adequate budget or ability to stick to it long enough to see the actual results. So I think that, and this is going to sound really shitty right now, but that expression of like the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, you can translate it today. If you're investing into digital marketing, The stronger are going to get stronger, and the weaker are going to get weaker. So I cannot wait to hear what analog marketing things you do today, because they should be, and it's a lot of effort. It's not fast, and it's not, well, it could be easy, but it could be immensely profitable, and you probably do not need to invest as much in terms of dollars, but probably more effort into analog things. So can you share about that?
No, it's exactly right. It is more effort, right? Which is why when you tell people, most people won't actually do it. But if you only have $2,500, the best thing you could do is take that money and go out to lunch, I don't know, 15 times a month with potential referral sources. So one of the things that we did in the last, probably 2 years ago, we started doing this. We have what we call a chiropractor referral letter. We had an EA scrape the names and the addresses of all of the chiropractors within a 25-mile radius of my office. We just started sending them direct mail pieces. It costs I looked at it the other day, it costs $437 a month to send mail to all of the doctors in my area, right? And the call to action is not, you send me a case, I'll send you a case. The call to action usually is, most PI lawyers are kind of shady, or some, and every most, I shouldn't have said most, but every doctor has a story about a shady injury lawyer, right? No. A lawyer who only called them at the end of the case to finally let them know that the case wasn't any good, and that the doctor needed to take a 50% haircut on the case, right? And by the way, you can find most of these lawyers posting nonsense in like Facebook groups, right? And so the most recent one that we did was a guy in Northern Virginia. I just screenshotted his post talking about how he charges a fee on MedPay money, which is first party money, how he negotiates with the doctor all the time, and how if he didn't do this, then the doctor would be the only one that got the money, and he and the client wouldn't get anything. And I'm like, no, this money is basically health insurance money for the doctor. You and the client are not supposed to get anything anyway. So I screenshotted that. I sent it to all of the doctors in a 25-mile radius. And the message in big red letters was, are you getting screwed by lawyers like this? And on the back of the postcard it said, if so, we should talk, right? And it's a postcard because that's going to get past the front desk. Most chiropractors' offices are fairly small. There's maybe an admin answering the front door, maybe not. But that thing's probably not going in the trash. And so that's gotten us a bunch of lunches. And we just go and we talk. It's not a sales pitch. It's not you refer me one, I refer you one. It's, hey, let me describe my processes to you, and you figure out whether this would be a better fit for your clients and for your practice than whoever you're currently sending cases to. Or whether, which is what most doctors are doing, somebody walks into your office and you're like, I think you should go find a lawyer. And they go back to Google or go to ChatGPT and they go find a lawyer. Like, why not refer them to somebody you already trust? So that's a really easy one that we're doing. And we've done the same thing on our long-term disability practice vertical. Like we put some deliberate thought to, okay, our best clients in that practice area are doctors, dentists, and C-suite people who go out on, have some debilitating disease and they're going to be out on disability, right? Rather than trying to market to those people, let's try to market to the people that are advisors to those people. And so we put a lot of time and effort and energy into finding who are the CPAs for doctors, who are the financial managers for doctors. And these people are out there in this. And so we send the packets to them because they're the ones who hear about, hey, I think I maybe need to go out on disability. What do I do next, right? And so being known as the advisor to doctors, dentists, and lawyers has made us a lot of money in the last 2 years. And we just started saying that we were. Now, you also have to be like pretty good at the job, right? But we just gave ourselves the moniker as the advisors to doctors, dentists, and lawyers, and then went out and marketed to the people that were already advising them.
Yeah, that's an amazing example, or two examples of outside the box thinking. I know that your dad, I've seen pictures of him with Dan Kennedy. So I'm a huge fan. I've been following Kennedy for the last 2 decades, give or take. So, great legal marketing. I'm sure that you covered this in your group. This is my mini pitch for great legal marketing. This is how you can avoid some of the digital marketing and get clients the analog way. It definitely works. And by the way, I am a digital marketer. This is what my company does. This is my bread and butter. And I will advise against it to many lawyers who have smaller budgets and say there is a better way. And Brian talks about that better way for you. If you do PI law, especially in any major market, major metropolitan market, smaller budgets just don't work. When I say don't work, let me quantify what it means to not work. If you are continuously spending more than 25% of your average case value on getting cases, that's an example of this doesn't work. So you're spinning wheels. You can't make a profit. You're doing work for the sake of doing work and earning a modest paycheck. There's no point to operating a law firm that way. Like, you shouldn't be ever spending more than 25% on case. Like, you should. It's just too much. If you hear advice from, we know our competitors who will tell you that 35% is great. I will not name them by name, but it's a really shitty advice. Really shitty advice. Don't do it.
It's funny because lawyers, personal injury lawyers and workers' comp lawyers, we'll spend 33% to acquire a case, right? We pay referral fees all day long, and it's usually 33%.
Very expensive.
But here's the difference, though, is you're paying that on the back end out of the fee, right? I'm not paying it up front to acquire the case in the hopes that it's going to turn into something while we're working on it over the next 18 months, something that pays off in the end. We're paying it at the end of the case. And digital marketing works. Look, listen, all of this stuff works. Billboards work. Lead gen works. The question isn't whether it's right or even whether it's right for you. It's whether it's right for you right now and whether there's not another better use of your dollar an hour. And there becomes a point where it's like, yeah, you've done everything else and you put in all the other work, and now you should go and spend some money on digital, because that's your next step, right? But under $1 million in revenue, certainly, like, there's a better use than spending a lot of money into trying to be found. It depends on practice area, depends on parts of the country, metro, all of that stuff depends. But there's a lot of things you could do, and it all works.
Yeah, 100%. The way that I think about it, and I think I learned it from Dan Kennedy 20 years ago. He said, and I'm going to heavily paraphrase what he said, he's platform agnostic. Like, it doesn't matter how I attract my client, customer, patient, as long as it's profitable. I will always set a top target, or this is how much I'm going to invest into getting a client, but not a penny more. And then I'm going to deploy one thing, and then another thing, and a third thing, and a fourth thing, and I'm going to benchmark them against each other. And if one channel generates clients at 15% of average case value, and others do it at 25%, guess what I'm going to do to the budget? I'm going to shift it from those channels that generate those clients at 25%, move it towards 15%, and I will keep on milking that channel until case acquisition costs will go up and start leveling up to 25%. That's when I'm going to reallocate the budget and put it into other things. But again, like, we see it, I hear it, I heard it with my own ears. Made my blood boil when a sizable competitor suggested that 35% average case acquisition cost is great.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And here's the thing, and this is a topic for an entirely different show, but in most firms, the number one thing that you could do to drive down your case acquisition costs, drive up your revenue, and drive up your profit is get better at answering the phones.
Intake is the answer.
Yeah.
If the phone is ringing, this is the lowest hanging fruit. By the way, you can audit your own intake process. Just call and pretend to be a potential client.
Nobody likes to do that.
Oh, I've done it with my own businesses.
I just think, law firm owners just find that so uncomfortable, and for whatever reason, it will make your blood boil listening to your calls, which is why we don't do it lawyers don't do it very often. And then you've got to go and manage the person. Lawyers are not good at that typically, but you're right. It's the lowest hanging fruit to increase the revenue, increase the profit in your law firm.
If your phone rings.
Yes.
If your phone rings, if you're only getting a couple of referrals a month, doesn't matter. But if your phone rings a few times a day, 5 days a week, that's the lowest hanging fruit, bar none. This is where you're going to be able to optimize and make a lot more money. And it's not going to be in marketing, but it's going to be in the intake for sure.
Yep.
And if you hate doing that as a law firm owner, your life will change dramatically once you reach like $5 million in revenue. Because a lot of things that you hate to do, you will be able to delegate to other people. Yes. Whenever people talk about how do I get my freedom of time, freedom to do more things that I want to do, and I'm like, the answer is on your org chart. If you don't have that freedom, your org chart is broken. Somebody taught me that my org chart looks like a bullseye. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, every decision points into one direction. It all comes my way.
Yeah.
That is awful.
Yeah. That's not a fun way to run a business.
It's terrible. But most people most small law firm owners operate like that, right? Like I am in charge of all the decisions, which makes me a very ineffective decider, right? Because my head is spinning and I'm practicing law and I decide things about marketing and intake and operations and HR and planning and talking to my accountant and everybody else. So it's crazy. But everybody who starts a business, doesn't acquire a business, but starts a business, like goes through those growing pains unless you're experienced and you have some funding and you're able to do things right.
Yeah. I mean, you said 5 million. I think it starts to get better at 1 million, but at 5 million, you can really buy some expertise to do all the things, right? But if you're doing less than $1 million, once you cross that $1 million mark, you get a lot more bandwidth back.
I've been at $1 million threshold with 4 businesses now. I can tell you that my hair was absolutely on fire at $1 million. And I was calm as a clam at $5 million. And I mean like calm as a clam because the org chart was built out. And it's not like I didn't have a worry in the world, but way fewer meetings, way fewer decisions per day, way fewer tasks. And at 10 million, it's a whole different game. And when I say a whole different game, and this should be a goal for everyone, is at $10 million, you don't have to practice law or whatever it is that your business does. You have very few responsibilities, and your main responsibility is to do the thinking. You earned the right. You've earned the right. But before you get to close to that $10 million, you're still doing a lot of things. And thus you're doing a lot less thinking. And when you do a lot less thinking, you're making a lot more bad decisions than good decisions. One of my top advisors taught me that he's like, my job is to not do anything but think and produce better decisions. So he's like, my workday starts at 7 a.m. when I go to the beach and I walk the beach for 2 hours straight. And this is my work. He's like, I just think about stuff. Sometimes it's random, sometimes it's pointed, but like I earned the right to do thinking for work. He has 18,000 employees across multiple businesses. He's like, this is what I do with most of my days. I do thinking, and if I come up with something while I'm thinking, I'm going to send a message to the right person so that they would execute on it. At $10 million, been there and done that, you earned it. Even at $5 million, you're like very close to spending a bit of your time on thinking rather than doing. But at $10 million, it's absolutely magical. And I've interviewed a number of law firm owners on this podcast who have surpassed that top line. And they're like, oh yeah, man, I take care of very few things. Like thinking and talking to people and helping them make better decisions is where my time is spent. And like, it's very, very, very calm life. And I had a couple who were close to $100 million in revenue on this podcast. And they're like, it's just leadership role at this point of time. I never touch a case. I don't do HR issues. It's just leadership, like figuring out what's next for the next 5 years. I haven't been there, so I haven't experienced that yet, but I'm working toward it. That would be an amazing life. Yeah. Right. It was such a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me back, Sasha.
Absolutely. Great legal marketing. If you're not part, by the way, if you are not part of coaching group, it's a travesty. Everybody needs a coach. The president has a cabinet who helped him make better decisions. Every athlete has multiple coaches. If you don't have one, by the way, my partner and I, we're living proof of that. At any given time, we have at least 2 advisors with different skill sets who advise us on different things. It's really important. One of them, who I just mentioned, has 18,000 employees. Another one sold his marketing company for nearly $100 million. The first one never touched a marketing business. The other one only worked in marketing businesses. So very different experience. They advise us on very different things. It's very important for us to pay 2 guys. We pay them. One now costs $800 an hour. And we pay him $800 an hour. Why? Worth it. Just worth it.
A good coach makes their price irrelevant, right?
100%. 100%. Thank you so much.
All right. Good to see you.